Let's now learn another minor metabolic pathway, that is polyol pathway or sorbitol pathway. So what happens, in peripheral tissue, imagine in peripheral tissue, we know that peripheral tissue has hexokinase. So hexokinase is converting glucose into glucose 6-phosphate. We know the important property of hexokinase. I've taught you in your glycolysis class that it is very easily saturated. It gets very easily saturated. So whenever the blood glucose level will get high, this enzyme will get saturated. So glucose cannot be converted into glucose 6-phosphate. So what will happen to the excess glucose? This excess glucose will be taking alternate metabolic pathway, especially polyol pathway. So what is this polyol pathway? This glucose with the help of aldol reductase, because this hexokinase is saturated, so it has to get into another alternate metabolic pathway. So this glucose with the help of aldol reductase is converted to sorbitol. And you know that in any condition, wherever there is diabetes, there's an increased ratio of NADH plus H, because all that glucose will be going into glycolysis and producing NADH. So in diabetes patient, there will be high NADH to NAD ratio. Okay, so that NADH is utilized to convert glucose into sorbitol, and this sorbitol can again be converted into fructose with the help of sorbitol dehydrogenase, but it requires NAD plus. Unfortunately, in diabetic patient, this is in less. There is very deficiency of NAD, so this conversion never happens. So what will happen? There is an accumulation of sorbitol. What will happen because of sorbitol accumulation? This sorbitol is osmotically very active. Okay, osmotically active. So it will keep withdrawing water into the cell, which will lead to the osmotic injury of the cell, and all the microvascular complications will happen because of that. Okay, so all the microvascular complications will happen because of the osmotic injury caused due to the accumulation of sorbitol. So this is polyol or sorbitol pathway. So basically, what is the polyol or sorbitol pathway? It is a two-step process that converts glucose into fructose. Glucose is first reduced into sorbitol and then oxidized into sorbitol, and it is implicated in diabetic complications like microvascular damage, lens, retina, kidney, and nerves. Okay, so again, I told you in the pathway in diabetic mellitus, in diabetes mellitus, hexokinase is saturated. So aldol reductase basically, changes this glucose into sorbitol, which starts accumulating. And because there is a less NADPH for other cellular metabolism, okay, and sorbitol cannot cross cell membrane, so it accumulates and produces osmotic stress, leading to damage. So this was all about polyol pathway.